While we wait for Dr. Videra to join us, let me go ahead and call the meeting to order for March 15th, 2022, and ask the Yerba Buena Girl Scout Troop 66 to come up to lead us in the flag salute.
We're at pledge.
May I please have your attention for our flag ceremony? Please stand for the presentation of colors. Color guard, attention. Color guard, advance. Color guard, halt. Color guard, present the colors. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now say the Girl Scout promise. On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout law. Color guard, retire the colors. Color guard dismissed.
I hope you can come every meeting. Every meeting. That was amazing.
Thank you for having us.
Got it, yep. That was the Girl Scout Troop 66, third grade Brownies from Yerba Buena Elementary, and the leaders are Joanne Kress, White Oak teacher, and Anita Burkett, Bay Laurel teacher as well. So thank you all. One more time, round of applause for Girl Scout Troop 66.
Do we have Dr. Videra?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay. So on behalf of Dr. Videra, I'd like to report that during closed session, the board voted 5-0 to approve the settlement agreement with employee number WC 3017812. May I have an approval of the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second?
All those in favor? Student?
Aye.
Board?
Aye.
May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the March 1st meeting?
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor? Student?
Aye.
Board?
Aye.
And then I believe we were going to do some presentations. Dr. Stepp?
As Ms. Stein said, we have not had this many people in the boardroom in well over 2 years, so we are so excited. So we're going to skip right to the recognitions. We've got two amazing groups to recognize, so if the entire board could join me down there, we'll kick it off. We'll start off with our students from Calabasas High School and the amazing award-winning Model UN team. We'll have you over here, we'll have the board over here with the team, because we'll be shaking some hands and taking some pictures. So we've got coach and leader extraordinaire, teacher Brad Bowman. Brad, come on down. And we've got Principal Exner and Assistant Principal Goldstein. Come on down. So a little bit about the amazing team you see in front of them. We have 11 students from Calabasas. They competed in the largest Model UN conference in the Western Hemisphere. There were 139 schools and over 3,000 students. In addition, with all 139 schools, they did give out awards, and there was Delegation Awards. And so this team in front of you, besides being the only delegation in all of California to get any awards, kicked a little California. Are the Girl Scouts gone? Kicked a little California butt. They also, besides being the only ones in all of California to get an award, they got, out of 139 schools and over 3,000 students, the best small delegation of the entire conference. Besides being amazing at the competition, they got to enjoy Smithsonian tours, Capitol Hill, and they had a nighttime tour of the monuments that I think was 15 degrees during the tour. That's an East Coast experience. Coach?
Thank you, Dr. Stepanowski, President and members of the board and cabinet. I do want to just add one note. The second place team, we were the first place team. The second place team is an all-star Model UN team that is assembled from students all across the country, and we won. So I'll just, I guess I'll go left to right, just introduce our team. We have Natasha Tabatabai, Sophia Bronstein, Ashi Jawar, Layla Ashari, Jacob Brasov, Danica Kerner, Kayvon Naziri, Aaron Marshall, got Mia Rosenthal, there we go, and Bobby Buailos. Very proud of this team. We really came together coming out of a pandemic, putting our program back in person, being in person, and really getting to enjoy DC as well. It was great to get out in the open. Thank you for having us here.
Since we're bragging, I think there's a school across the street from Calabasas, a private school. I can't think of the name. I think they were at the competition. Expensive private school. Viewpoint. And we demolished them as well, is what I've heard. Outstanding. Congratulations, Coyotes. Okay, let's take a picture. Let's get our principals and our coach and the students in here.
What's the Round Meadow section? Yeah, crazy. Okay. Really?
Yeah, would never, Carrie's like, we'll never play this.
Yeah, I always worry about that.
So,
That's with Simone.
yeah.
Okay.
So the bottom line is,
There it is.
yeah, there's, the bottom line is we reached a point where she'll publish this word, she's not going to.
Okay.
And,
Oh, it's there. Fine.
yeah, or you can move her. I mean, day one, it's easier to just move her somewhere. It's fine.
All right, yeah, if the board can stay here. So we have a few more amazing recognitions to share with high schoolers. So next up, we had the largest haul in school district history of National Merit Finalists. Now, you may say, what is a National Merit Finalist? So National Merit Finalists are students that take the PSAT, NMSQT, right? In the world, there are 4.5 million students who take that test. The top 50,000, which is the top 1.1%, get recognized as National Merit. They get advanced into the National Merit Scholarship Program. Of the 50,000, they pull out about 16,000 and they move 34,000 up, and that's 0.75 or 0.75% of the top percentage get moved forward into letter commendation status. Of the 34, 16,000 or 0.3 or 1/3 of 1% get moved into semifinalists. And of the 16, about 90% of those advance to be finalists. So tonight we have the finalists, which is the top 0.2 of 1% in the country here out of 4.5 million. So we're so excited to recognize them tonight. But because the College Board wants representatives from all the states, they do skew it a little bit, and so each state has its own finalist score that advances. Now, you can imagine when you're a state with almost 40 million people, the California score to advance to this level is the highest in the country. So we have the highest standards of the entire country, and we have 17 of those amazing folks tonight to recognize. And the principals are going to bring those folks forward. They've got certificates, so I want you to come on down. I want you to shake the entire board members' hands or fist bump or anything you're comfortable with, and then stay up here for a picture.
All right. So we have something fun for you tonight. We have a fun fact about our students, and we'll share that. And once we do, please join us up here. So the first student is Jackson Shapiro. And a fun fact about Jackson, he's going to attend Johns Hopkins University and will be playing soccer for them. You're number 10? Yeah. All right. And you also play chess. Awesome. Congratulations. Joshua Peisner, and his fun fact is he has done fencing for 7 years. Joshua here? Yes.
Is that a fencing injury?
Oh, no! We'll have to hear that story later. Zachary Rossoff. Zachary's fun fact is he's the president of our Roots and Shoots Club at Calabasas, where they work on many environmental projects, including installing drip irrigation and owl boxes, planting native flora, and organizing trash cleanups. Congratulations, Zach. Jacob Rossoff. His fun fact is he's in Model UN, as you just saw, and he recently won a Georgetown International Conference and helped the school win first place. He is committed to Vanderbilt University in the fall. Mallory Cooper. Mallory's fun fact is she has published her first children's book titled I'm Perfect this year. You can find it on Amazon. And Isabella Lozada, and her fun fact is she works as a dental hygienist assistant. Want us to hold on to it and we can bring it back? Yeah, perfect. And Ela Trevetti. And her fun fact is she had gone hiking in the Himalayas. And our final candidate from Calabasas is Melissa Eddy. She's not able to attend tonight, but her fun fact is she was born on Eddy Street. And those are our recipients from Calabasas.
And we have a whole bunch of coyotes up here and bringing up some chargers, so Assistant Principal Marcilio.
Thank you. I'm excited to announce the finalists from Agora High School. First up, Tituan Far. A fun fact about him is he plays the cello. And Charles Kendall, sure. Charles participates in archery. And Alyssa Klein next. Alyssa is a proud Agora High School water polo player. Josephine Paik. A fun fact about Josephine is she plans to major in landscape architecture. Max Rains. You can tell as Max walks up, he's got those long cross-country legs. He's really enjoyed his time competing as a charger on the cross-country team. Sarah Sturgeon. Sarah's fun fact is that she's been to nationals for rock climbing. Megan Thanislas. Megan's proud to share that she's been dancing since 7 years old. Thomas Van Fleet. Thomas is going to be majoring in biology. and Jameson Wilkie. Jameson's going to be representing Agoura High School in the California High School Speech and Debate State Championship. Congratulations to the Agoura High finalists.
All right, picture time. All right, let's layer up. Maybe we could do 3 steps or something like that. You can come closer if you want to, parents.
Look at you. All right, smart people, why can't you trust adults? Because they make up everything.
What's the punchline, Jim?
One more time for these amazing people. You all are welcome to stay. Of course, you're also welcome to head on home with your families and celebrate there as well.
Yeah, it does.
Haven't done that in a long time.
Are we doing staff board or content?
If you have something you can go, you should go for sure. Stick with the plan.
Okay, Dr. Videra, we are at staff board communication.
Wonderful, thank you. Apologies for being a little late here. And we have Bella from Agoura High School.
Yes, thank you. Madam President, members of the board, AHS and CHS have been flying high and enjoying this new wave of events, activities, and normalcy. This week, Agoura has their election campaign week for ASB positions for next year, as well as our Spring Spirit Week. At the end of the week, on Saturday, March 19th, Agoura is having our spring formal dance with the theme Wonderland. Agoura also has our second week of Power for Periods this week, where we are collecting menstrual products during nutrition for those in need. Agoura is also working hard to spread awareness and break stigmas around periods. Last week, Agoura had our MVP game, which had a huge turnout and all our MVP players had a blast. Finally, Agoura's Spring Show Cinderella is approaching fast, with show dates coming up on March 30th through April 2nd. CHS is celebrating cultures from around the world with its annual multicultural banquet on the 18th. We also have our 3v3 basketball tournament from March 21st to March 25th during lunch. Students can sign up through a form on the athletics Instagram. CHS ASB is starting a new event called the Thrift Flip. They're collecting dresses from students and creating a thrift store on campus. Students will have the opportunity to buy new cute dresses and help give back to the community. All the proceeds will be donated to Becca's Closets. CHS ASB is putting on their annual Powder Puff game. This is an event where female students will be playing flag football against each other while our boys coach the teams. We will have practices on April 4th, 6th, and 8th, while the event will take place on April 13th from 6:30 p.m. Tickets for our spring musical are also on sale, so if you're a fan of the classic story, The Wizard of Oz, this is the perfect opportunity to support our theater program. That is all, and thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Lawrence.
I'll be brief. I wanted to thank, I had the opportunity to join the city of Calabasas and a number of our school representatives for the traffic safety meeting. Calabasas, I want to thank the city for taking seriously the safety issues we're seeing around our campuses, particularly in light of the student who was struck by a car. The Calabasas is moving forward. I'll happy to report to the board with some increased safety visualizations at the location. I don't think they're sufficient, and we shared that feedback along with Councilwoman Whitetrub, who also agreed they probably were not sufficient. So the city is actually going back to explore a more vibrant lit-up intersection, something similar that Westlake Village has in their area. So I appreciate that Calabasas has been open and responsive to this. It's unfortunate that it took an accident like this to happen, but I appreciate that they're taking the measures to move that forward. That's all I have to share.
Thank you. Ms. Menges?
Thank you very much. On March 5th, I was able to go to Agora's Performing Arts Center to watch Lindero Canyon put on Shrek, and they, I'm not sure I remember the term correctly, they put it on concert style, I think is what he called it, but basically they had 12 microphones lining the front of the stage, so whenever a speaker came up, it was almost choreographed. They would walk up to a microphone and speak their part into the microphone, so it was really easy to hear it, and it was, I think, a new and theatrical experience for all of the students, and something that's commonly employed. I think that I've seen it before on other productions, but it was nice for the students to be able to wear their masks and stay safe, but still be able to be heard by the audience. And then on Monday, March 7th, I headed to the Ventura County School Board Association dinner, and Mr. Lawrence and Ms. Cutbill were honored for meritorious service to school boards for 8 years, and Ms. Stein for 12 years. So congratulations to you all. And then on March 12th, I was at Chaparral for their Arbor Day celebration, and I've been to several of these. It's something that's really sponsored by the city of Calabasas, and they pick a different school in the that's within the boundaries of the city of Calabasas each year. And I would say that I was amazed at the turnout. I think everybody is just hungry to finally be able to be out and about and feel safe and be a part of the community again. And then this week I'm participating in Legislative Action Week with the CSBA, and they have 5 major components to it, but bottom line is it's money. Just give us more money in whatever way you split it, if it's LCFF, if it's home to school transportation, if it's the COVID days and the ADA, and it's all about money. But it's fascinating to be a part of that. And I met with Jackie Irwin's representative today, and I'll be meeting with Jesse Gabriel's later this week.
Thank you. Wow.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Ms. Stein?
First, I want to thank our high schools for the Model UN students and the National Merit Finalists for coming out to our board. It was the largest group that we've had at a board meeting, and to celebrate our students' success after the challenges of the last 2 years is just, I know it warms all of our hearts, so thank you and congratulations. Mrs. Cutbill and I had an opportunity to go to probably, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say probably both of one of our favorite things to do in the year, which is the Agora High School MVP baseball game. It's in memory of Elka Golds, who was a special ed teacher, aide, okay, at the school for many years, and her family was there, as they are every year, and with COVID, unfortunately, it was put on hold, but it is so wonderful to see the young men of our varsity baseball team help our special needs children play the game, and the smiles on everyone's faces, it just warms our heart that this school district does this and that Agora High does this. And Dr. Videra and I had an opportunity to join the mid-year WAS visit for Calabasas High School. And I have to tell you, I did read through the report. That should be a template for every school. So Ms. Exner, congratulations to you. That was great, and to everybody who worked on it, amazing. And it was a wonderful visit, and they were clearly very impressed with your goals and your accomplishments at the school. And it's always a privilege to sit there and watch the faces of the other educators from other districts who come for these visits to check on schools. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. Ms. Cutbill?
I just would like to echo what Ms. Stein said about the MVP baseball game at Agora. To be there and to see what it means to be these special needs kids to be either cheering or to be on the baseball team, and to have the whole school there, to have them be in uniform. You know, I really felt it deeply a few years ago I have a nephew who has Downs, and when we went to visit them in England, one of my sons took him an old hockey jersey of theirs that said Cup Bill on the back. And he started crying, and my sister-in-law said, "You don't realize he doesn't have anything that has his name on it, and he's never been a part of a team." And I realized, like, sometimes I'm like, all these sport uniforms you gather over the years, and, so how great a thing that, and our student body embraces it so well. It's just a wonderful thing, and love going every year. And just nice to see people back in the boardroom, to see smiles. I know we've said this for 2 years, but it is only just this week that this district was allowed to make the decision about masking or not masking. That has not been our decision, and I'm not second-guessing whether we should or shouldn't have. It just simply wasn't. It's irrelevant how any of us felt about masking until this week. So I've had some, people say, well, why didn't, could have taken them off weeks ago, months ago. That's actually not the case. So it's nice to be given back some of the autonomy that was taken away from the county and the state, and a return to normalcy, and to see kids' faces, and to see activities, and to be able to celebrate these kids. I don't think we've seen young kids in the boardroom in 2 years, so that color guard was really special. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank Yerba Buena for the beautiful artwork that you see behind us. And I'd also like to thank our amazing PFCs. I attended the Superintendent's Council meeting, and it was such a positive, heartwarming meeting. So I encourage all parents who want to get involved to participate at your school site. Don't spend your time, spin your wheels on social media. Get involved at your school site. So thank you, everyone. And I'm sorry I was a little late. And I really am looking forward to getting out and visiting schools soon. That is all for me. So, Dr. Stepp, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Verdera. Love your message. Get off social media and get into the PFCs and PFAs. Perfect. As Ms. Stein and Ms. Cutwell mentioned, the MVP game is terrific, and it's not just the students with special needs. It's varsity baseball, JV baseball, cheer. They sing the national anthem. There were students emceeing, Agora students emceeing the entire game. The band was there, and then they did a cookout, dance team, and then a cookout at the end of the event. So much fun to be together and to celebrate them and the joy among the students. Dr. Gleason.
Madam President, members of the board, Ms. Stein said it, but worth echoing as well that CHS, big congratulations on a 3-year revisit. This was so seamless. The visiting team really didn't have a lot of questions, which was phenomenal. So hats off to the CHS administration, the faculty, and a special nod of appreciation to Kristen Lapiner, who did the heavy lifting in writing the report. Also want to share that our PASC program continues to grow. Believe it or not, we're recruiting for our 10th cohort of the Preliminary Administrative Services Credential Program, which now is statewide, and we have 40 candidates already interested in August, which is 10 times what we normally have at this point. So really exciting to be, as a school district, be able to be at the center of preparing future leaders, and then have that, of course, benefit our students.
Dr. Finneran.
Sorry. Thank you very much. Madam President, members of the board, I know we've been keeping you apprised of this situation, which we're just thought would be appropriate to share with the public as well. We have warmly welcomed 24 students who technically are refugees from Afghanistan. And that's one of our students on the right who started yesterday. Look how quickly he became fast friends with one of our Willow students on the left. So just wanted to thank our families for all of their support, for our staff who have really engaged in some quick training on welcoming these students. Our students who have taken them under their wings, in particular our students who speak Farsi and Pashti, thank you. So just delighted that they're here, and we will continue to serve them as much as possible. Thank you.
Mr. Klein.
Madam President, members of the board, those Afghan students are amazingly sharp. We've had the opportunity to work directly with a few of them, and we've been really, really thrilled with the way that they've been able to integrate with the rest of our students. It's been really amazing. A couple of really fun things, actually, from our team. First of all, in March, as you will recall, from way before the pandemic, we used to always do some water awareness, water conservation events at our elementary schools, and this year we were pleased to restart those with a partnership with the Las Virgenes Municipal Water District. And they agreed to provide and help us plant succulent gardens at all of our elementary schools. So we're engaging at least one grade level at every elementary school, and that is Ricky Clark on the right from the Water District talking about conservation, and helping them plant succulents. On the left there at the top is one of my people, Maureen McDonald, and of course Tina Johnson's really involved in this project as well. It's a really great opportunity to explore a little bit of science and also think about the environment for our young kids. And secondly, we were really lucky this last week to get Argelina Atalano to our Sumac Elementary School. She is a Univision celebrity. She's an actress and a radio personality. She's won 5 Golden Mike Awards. Really tough to get, and we were lucky enough to get her last week. She is also now an author. She's written some children's books, so she came out for our author series, and we actually had an in-person author visit, which was fantastic. We streamed that author visit to our middle school as well, because a lot of our middle school kids, especially our second language kids, are very familiar with Argelia. So we were really pleased to be able to bring that to our students this month.
Ms. Falk.
Madam President, members of the board, this week, the state released its compliance monitoring intervention report related to how we did in special ed last year. First of all, I'd like to announce that we were found within compliance again in the area of disproportionality, which is the second year in a row. So kudos to our assessment teams who continue to do a great job. The second part of that was to look at our interventions, which started with looking at the CASP scores and how our special education students did compared to statewide. So the middle one is the reported disability statewide. English language arts, approximately 15% of the students met or exceeded standards, and 10% in the area of math. And in Las Virgenes, approximately 25% of our students with reported disabilities scored met or exceeded, and 20% in the area of math, which is good. We obviously want those numbers to be higher. We were also asked to identify 2 areas to target in intervention, and the 2 areas we selected were the decline at scores in middle school in the area for English language arts, and then the decline in scores from 4th to 5th grade in the area of mathematics. So the next step is to create a task force to come up with plans and next steps in those areas.
Ms. Chambers.
Madam President, members of the board, I wanted to provide you with an update on classified professional development training that Dr. Cypress and I will be offering for our employees starting next week. The focus of the 2-day series is on strengthening interviewing skills and building resumes. We'll be sharing some best practices as well as providing opportunities for our employees to practice these interview questions and to create or fine-tune their resumes. Our goal is to help our staff build their capacity by being ready for promotions or transfers within our own organization.
Ms. Kintz.
Madam President, members of the board, I'd like to share a few more photos from Outdoor Ed and let you know where we are. So we started out with Round Meadow on February 28th, and then Lupin Hill Elementary went next. So they're on the upper left, and that is at Malibu Creek State Park, and they were on their way back from the hike that day, this group was, and they had just crossed the creek, and you can tell they're really focused. And it was lunchtime, so they're excited to get back for lunch. And then the bottom right, that's Bay Laurel. That was yesterday, and that was on campus. So that's the first day of Outdoor Ed where they participate in a lot of the leadership activities with the Fulcrum staff on campus, and they get to know their high school counselors, and the high school counselors are such a hit. Like, they're doing such a great job. So it's been really fun. Next up, we have YB and White Oak next week, and then Chaparral, then Willow, then Sumac, Mariposa, the first week of May, and that's our last week.
Ms. Kimmel, are you passing?
I'll hold for our budget update later tonight.
Dr. Cypress.
Madam President, members of the board, busy times in human resources as we have 3 different principal vacancies across LVUSD, Calabasas High School, White Oak, and Chaparral Elementary School. For each of these processes, we host an inclusive interview process. We just actually finished Calabasas High School principal interviews, round 1. Had 18 different folks on that panel, including teachers, classified staff, representatives from the parent community. With all 3 positions, very excited about the candidate pool that we have. Depending on how each process goes, all 3 could come to the Board of Education for approval at our next meeting on Tuesday, April 12th.
That concludes staff communication.
Thank you very much. Okay, and now we are to consent A. Do we have any speakers?
Only if there's a, it's for part of consent A that gets pulled.
Would you like a motion to approve consent A?
Yes.
I move to approve consent A.
I actually wanted to pull one off if I
Okay,
could.
which one would you like to?
I wanted to pull off item number 12, please.
12, okay. Then I'm going to revise my motion to approve items number 1 through 11 and 13, 14, and 15.
I'll second it.
Student board vote
Aye.
and board vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, I had a couple quick, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I had a couple quick questions on this one, just trying to understand the process and what the goals are and kind of the timing of what we're trying to achieve here for the public outreach and consulting contract. I'd love to get a sense for the competition. I know I've read the superintendent's Friday letter on it, but I'd love to kind of a deeper sense for what were some of the key reasons why we think this is the key agency we should be hiring and leaning into. A little bit about kind of the timing we're thinking of, if we're going to be going into polling, just get a deeper sense for when that timing process is, if we're going to be, I think, a deeper understanding of if this is happening, if we're considering putting a measure on the ballot in November, and we're entering the contract now in March, what are the timelines or fence posts we need to march to hit over the next couple of months as we think about spending some money on this effort?
Well, I'll answer why this group. One, they were the only ones who possessed a lot of information. I learned a lot of new things. There's a lot of things we haven't done before that we could do, access to campaign funds, ways to do that, things that are appropriate and legal, but better ways we can run the campaign. Secondly, they came with really high recommendations and a high success rate. And thirdly, they, I think, had a good grasp on, the dynamic of social media and its effect, that it isn't just the old style of, phone banking, that they really embrace and are up to date with all the different ways to communicate the issue. And I think they understood the district and they understood the subtleties of this, of what we would be trying to do. So they were kind of a clear winner for me.
I want to speak to process. Dr. Stepanowski asked Ms. Cutbill and myself if we would be the point people for the Board of Education, the 2 board liaisons, and we asked Dr. Stepanowski to research other high-performing districts who have gone out and passed bonds and parcel taxes, and I believe Dr. Stepanowski reached out to about 20 different superintendents, and the same 4 names kept coming up. So we, on the interview panel, was Dr. Stepp, Dr. Finneran, Ms. Cutbill, myself, Mrs. Poulos, Mrs. Maynard, and Ms. Kimmel. Right? I think I got everybody. And we interviewed, I believe, 4 of them, and we invited Mr. Heath, and he's actually on the Zoom, so he can answer any questions as well, talk about his firm. We asked him to fly down from Sacramento. We were all very impressed, but had lots more questions for him, and he flew down. Why now? The bond measure that we ran in March of 2020 was an anomaly. There was a lot of variables out there. With the pandemic,
I just want to say, I know what you mean, but an anomaly, not the bond itself, but the time. How bonds did in the state was an anomaly.
And through the pandemic and the last rains, we actually saw, honestly, it reinforced the need that we have at our schools with the air conditionings, the HVAC systems, the roofing, the leaks around our district. We have schools that are 40 years old that, you know, we put in, and we will see this in Ms. Kimmel's budget presentation. I think the district spends about $6 million a year just on maintenance, which is not getting to the root causes of 60-year-old air conditionings. So we've had teachers come to past board meetings. I believe we have teachers here tonight to encourage us to pursue this at this point. This is what districts, including ours, have always done. We hire a consultant who helps us gauge the temperature with polling. We are looking to go out with polling. We don't know what we're going to do. We don't know what the polling is going to say. And Mr. Heath will help us with this. He's from, what is the name of the company, Dr. Stepp?
TBWBH.
And actually, Las Virgenes has used this company before for, I believe, the original Measure E that passed. We have not worked with Mr. Heath before, but we were very impressed with him. And our teachers really want us to pursue this at this point and to hire the consultant, which the district can pay for at this point, to do some polling to see if a bond in November is feasible. Dr. Stepp, is there anything that you want to add? And Dr. Videra?
I have one thing. The state has said that they will have potentially money set aside for facilities, but you have to have matching local funds, which currently we do not. So that's another issue.
The issue, just the big picture piece of this for the board is, shall the board move forward more deliberately and bring in a consultant to evaluate a potential bond measure, and then ultimately the decision is, shall we move forward with a bond, and then many other questions fall into place after that. Certainly November would be, a date that would be under consideration, but even since we've begun this process, Europe has changed a lot. So, when we began our process with Measure V, we had a pandemic drop on us in the middle of it all. So, but this would be the beginning of that consideration, and it's something we've done in the past. TBWBH worked with us in the past on Measure G, successful passage of the largest bond in district history, and also Parcel Tax K, which did not succeed. The last two efforts we've had was a renewal of E with Clifford Moss, and then Measure V, which barely missed. So, as Ms. Stein said, we went out, I emailed 22 superintendents and got a list of 4 firms. Three of the four we had Las Virgenes had used in the past, and conducted first and second round interviews.
So is he able to talk? I don't know if he's-
Is he available, Mr. Klein? Mr.
There he is.
I'm here.
Hello.
Oh, great.
Hi.
Man, you look like Jeb Bush. That's just eerie.
Only from that angle.
Only from that angle.
Only from my car.
I'd love to just get a sense from you on the timing that you think realistically. I mean, if for a campaign of this nature, for where we are, given the global economic situation, as Dr. Stepnowski mentioned, the uncertainty of the war and those types of things. What is your mindset in, this would need to be approved to be put on the November ballot by this board, probably by May at the latest, right? Is that right?
August.
Probably more like the June timeframe, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. There's a lot of challenges out there. There's been innumerable challenges over the last couple of years. I think the one thing we've learned is that we're never quite sure what the next challenge around the corner is going to be, but there is going to be a challenge. So you have to just kind of accept that as the new normal. So we're doing polling and feasibility assessments for lots of school districts right now that are considering measures for the 2022 ballot. The best tool you have for doing that is asking your voters their opinions on those issues and how do they feel about the state of public education in their community and the return from COVID and those issues, but also how they're feeling about the broader environment, and then look at a bond measure kind of within that context and see if it's reasonably feasible. in talking to your district, I think there's some interesting opportunities right now to leverage the fact that some of your old bonds are going to be coming off the books. And so you can issue new bonds potentially at a lower cost to your taxpayers, which I think is something that's worth exploring in some polling. And, whether or not you choose to proceed in 2022, you're going to learn a lot over the next few months by doing this feasibility study, doing some polling, kind of understanding how voters think about the investments in school facilities and sort of the post-COVID environment. And, that can be put to use in a potential 2022 measure or beyond in 2024 if now is not the right time for all the obvious challenges that are out there.
And are you seeing any, you mentioned you're seeing polling in other districts. Are you seeing any polling from other similarly sized districts or similar community sized districts already that are showing any difference in appetite from 2019?
Well, it's interesting. It's been a roller coaster ride over the last couple of years. The anomaly of March 2020 has been mentioned. Bond measures in California typically pass at about an 80% rate. In March of 2020, only 37% of bonds passed. When you look at November 2020, just a few months later, the passage rate bounced right back up to 80%. So it's the absolute definition of a statistical outlier, that election. So the good news is that it seems that with some distance, voters kind of adjusted to the new normal and they're willing to invest in schools at kind of the historic norms. We've been doing lots of polling. In fact, we have quite a few clients that are on the June primary ballot here in just a few months. And we've seen support levels for investments in local schools, particularly in high-performing districts like yours, to be pretty similar to sort of post-COVID numbers that we would have expected.
And then just as we think about the actual polling firm, like, do you own a polling? I mean, sorry, I don't know your agency, so I haven't had a chance to have these conversations. So I apologize if you've been asked them before. Do you outsource the polling to another firm? Do you manage it in-house?
We don't do polling ourselves. We're a strategy and communications consulting firm. I've worked with a number of different pollsters, including those that have worked with your district in the past. I know that True North Research, Dr. Tim McClarney, did the research on your most recent successful measures and on the bond that was unsuccessful in 2020. I've had a great working relationship with Dr. McClarney for the last 15 or 20 years. And my preference, because he has historical data in your district on other school bond and tax measures, we would subcontract with him to do the polling in this case.
Okay, that would be I'm actually not a fan of that polling firm. I think I had real challenges as someone who's written polls with some of the data and how we asked some of the questions, and I think it actually challenged us with a clear point of view going into the last election. But I clearly leave that to the committee to make a decision as you guys investigate. From a timing perspective, when would you think that we would need to make the decision to fund a poll? Is this coming back before the board in 2 weeks, 4 weeks? How soon do we need to be?
The polling costs are included as a piece of my contract, just as a subcontracting element. So with your approval tonight, we would be prepared to start work on the poll. And there was some thinking that moving, sooner rather than later, before the noise of the June primary starts heating up and whatnot, would be valuable. Also provide some data to begin planning communications and a potential measure if it does look viable.
So I don't sit on any of the committees that have any oversight in this, so I'm just asking questions about.
No committees have really overseen this. Like facilities have no input on a bond because we did the facility needs study 2 years ago. So that's really kind of over and done with.
It comes to finance, and we have I'm not arguing that. My question is, when will it come back to the board? Will we have a discussion here before we go out to polling? Will we get a chance to see the polling questions before they're asked? I think there were some real challenges with the way we asked the questions in the last poll.
Mr. Heath, can you speak to True North and their polling and their success rate?
Yeah, Dr. McClarney does the polling for most of the sort of comparable school districts to yours in Southern California, whether that be La Cañada Unified, South Pasadena Unified, and many others that I could point to. The process is we need to go to school on what your identified facility needs are, kind of the options for how we might structure a bond, messages pro and con. We would develop a draft survey. Typically, we would do that in coordination with a subcommittee of the board. The draft questions could go to the full board for some sort of review. I would really defer to staff on what the appropriate process there would be. And then based on, with that approval, we would start the survey. But I think our general hope was that we could, have that process moving as we get into early April.
And then what is the, sorry, I only saw the approval of $6,500 a month for retainer plus expenses. I didn't realize the expenses was the approval of subcontractors. So what is the ceiling on the contract that we're approving for you? For subcontract expenses? Do we know?
I don't have that cumulative number handy. I can look it up if you give me a minute.
Do we just have one as a policy? All I saw was $6,500 a month is the monthly retainer plus expenses, but did not realize that was authorizing subcontractor expenses.
All the expenses, they're outlined on Exhibit A, I believe, and I will see if I have the total.
And while you're looking that up, I just want to
So
add that
I can just share the consulting services, depending on when the board takes action, would not exceed $39,000 for the funds that are directly to TBWBH, and then the reimbursable services, the polling, the mailers, everything else that would be part of the communication strategy would not exceed $115,000.
Right.
And that is standard. I mean, we've done this with every bond and parcel tax.
The fees, I think, are almost exactly
Right.
the same as the last
They
time.
were last time.
And I just want to remind everyone that on Measure V, the last one that True North did the polling, the results of the election came right within the polling number. So it really wasn't a surprise. Of course, it was a disappointment to lose by 103 votes, but again, the climate, but the polling was spot on. And I believe in both of our failed measures, the polling was spot on. So True North does have the experience. And if there's no other questions, I do think, Dr. Videra, that we have some teachers who may want to speak.
And I also have a speaker card.
Okay. Let's
Yes.
have the teachers speak first, if that's okay.
Yes, if anybody wants to. And we also have our two parent committee members who have agreed to step forward. And so I will say, while you're coming up, I don't know what polling will do. It may well come back, things may continue to be terrible in Europe. They may, I don't know. But I know that we have to try. I think about, we have to explore this and we have to do it now. I think about the H building and the things that we just cannot fix and the state does not give us money to. And we have a responsibility. We came close. We just have to do a better job this time. And we have to just articulate those needs to our community better. So, Ms. Miller.
Sure. Hi. I'm Darcy Miller with the Los Virgenes Educators Association. So we have a few teachers here, and we just wanted to come and show our support in hiring a professional consultant. It was a real bummer last time when the bond didn't pass. A couple months ago, we had a bunch of Calabasas High School H-building teachers come and explain to you how difficult it is to teach our kids in particular that building. It gets really, really hot, it gets really, really cold, and then you have COVID on top of everything where they can't go somewhere safe. So we're here to show our support. We will do whatever we can to try to make sure that this passes so we can have safe, modern facilities for our kids. Thanks.
Thank you. I will say one of the things that Mr. Heath communicated to us that I have given a lot of thought to is that we will have to really thread the needle on this campaign. We can't go back out to the electorate and say, you got it wrong. We're here to put it before you again. There has to be sort of some subtleties in how we communicate this and why now. But I also think we will have some renewed energy on this one. We came so close. And I think it's, before we were hesitant about showing like some of these crappy HVAC systems, you didn't want, we had a sense of not wanting the community to think, oh, things are falling apart in Las Virgenes. It's not so, they're not managing things well. I think we're over that now. I think we're ready to show the leaky roofs and to really have a very transparent, open campaign about our real and immediate facility needs. But I really appreciated some of the conversations we had with Mr. Heath about how we will go about that. So
Can I just ask about the funding again? On Exhibit 1, I guess, you said the total that this contract is not to go over is how much? Because what I see is approval for $26,000 for a first round of polling, potentially a $20,000 tracking survey, and then $19,000 for a mailer.
And I think we calculated up to 3 mailers.
Oh.
So, I mean, it's not to exceed, so it's whatever the board's,
I just didn't see a not to exceed figure on this contract we're approving
It's
anywhere.
not on the contract, it's just, so the contract says how much each round would cost. And so then we're going to bring a purchase order forward, which 2 purchase orders. One will be for the consultant services, a separate one for the reimbursables to keep it clean and separate. So at each point, the district has to have written approval for every reimbursable expense before it happens. So we would be able to make a decision at every juncture if we want to have that expense incurred or not.
Who makes that? I'm not,
I would assume it would be Dr. Stepanowski and the committee that would.
so we're not setting a cap on what we're willing to spend on this.
So the cap would be the not to exceed that the purchase order would be. So we calculated it at $115,000 for the reimbursables.
The bottom line is we've done this before, so we will, we haven't had those discussions in that type of depth yet, but we will get back into, having those discussions of what have we done, what do we think we need. We haven't had those discussions yet. But basically, we've done this before. We pretty much do the same thing over and over again. So we will, it's kind of formulaic, so we will.
Well, that's kind of my concern. I am in 100% agreement that we need this. Our facilities are in need of it, but we can't do the same things we've done before in the past, because I think if you're a 2-time loser, the third one passing is next to impossible, because then it sounds like we're really going back a third time saying, well, you got it wrong again, voters, vote on a second time. So getting it right the
how are we
second
a
time.
2-time loser on a bond?
If we fail this time, we would be a 2-time loser
Right.
back to back and having to come a third time. So
I think we're saying the funding is formulaic, the contracts are
Right.
formulaic. I think we're not saying the campaign is formulaic, which is why we're going with Mr. Heath, because I think he communicated to us a real grasp of this bond and its needs and where we're going.
And he has a lot of particular experience with different other districts that had a very similar situation where their previous bonds were rolling off their tax rolls, and how to communicate that to the community and what that means for their future tax bills. And so I think both Simi Valley and Conejo use this firm with similar, almost exactly similar scenarios and successful campaigns.
I think that's one of the biggest things that we have going for us in the process of looking at the bond again, is that we do have
It's
the,
a game changer.
This
Yeah.
timing is actually better. And so I think about how Conejo were able to successfully do it. I think about it every time I drive by Westlake High School and see that new building going up.
So I'm happy to support this today. I guess what I would just ask is, before it comes back to the board for decision to put it on the ballot, is a much more in-depth briefing for all the board members. I'd love to have the data and insights you all have from the briefing process. I know we have a system that 2 go, so that's great, but for the decision to actually put it before, I don't have, none of the things you're talking about are included in the agenda and we're voting on today. None of the insights about those topics, those are all great decision points that I would love to have a much more robust briefing on before we decide to make a decision to put it on the ballot.
Mr. Heath, is there anything that you want to add from what you've heard?
No, I mean, there's a lot to cover here in a relatively short period of time. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be an iterative process, right? We'll start by taking the concepts that we've discussed. We will test the waters. We'll bring data back to the board that will help guide the steps from there. I mean, that's why the total budget for this project isn't perfectly predictable, because a lot of that will be determined by what we learn through the opinion research. That will tell us the level of proactive communication that's going to be required from the district to help the community understand the needs. And also, there's potentially, I think, an advantageous but somewhat complicated funding scenario for how this bond is structured. We'll learn more about how easily the committee grasps that, and if that's information that we want to invest in sharing with the public. So, this will be, it's not as though you're giving us authorization tonight to go develop a bond and this is the last you're going to see of it. This is the first step of many to consider this issue and make smart decisions about how we take something to the ballot or to look for a better opportunity in the future.
Thank you.
I also have a speaker card, Dr. Videra. It's from Amanda Poulos and Tara Maynard. And if you want to at least come up and introduce yourselves to us and anything that you might want to add to this.
I'd like to say we're very fortunate. They've been longtime hardcore volunteers in our district, and to take this on is challenging, but the chance to do something real and lasting, and they've already put in a lot of time on this, so we're very appreciative of them.
Yes, we are longtime fans, first-time speaker. My name is Amanda Poulos, and this is Tara Maynard. And if you don't know us, we have 14 years experience between us on being on PFCAs, PFAs, boards, LVOSD committees. We helped with Measure V. We visited multiple school sites through all of our travels and all of our volunteer work. And I've heard many parents and staff talk about the various problems at each site. We understand it's no fault of the district, that it's not in the budget, that these issues can't be fixed without compromising the education we've come to expect for our kids at LVOSD.
Raise that up a little bit. As you heard, Amanda and I were involved in the interview process, and we have to say that we fully support Mr. Heath and his team. It was clear that he understands the needs of our community and our schools, and he came highly recommended from other districts. We feel he would be the best consulting firm to lead us to success on a potential measure. We're also super excited to co-chair this campaign should the board decide to move forward. We have an energy about us that we hope we can bring, and we were just honored to be chosen. I mean, we're not, potentially.
Trust me, it's us who are honored.
And we are just super excited to get the ball rolling and hopefully make an impact on the lives of our students, staff, and our whole community, really. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you both for stepping up. This will leave a huge lasting legacy for you and our students and staff.
I already feel better from your energy.
Yeah.
So with that, Dr. Videra, would you like a motion to approve?
I would.
I move to approve the public outreach and education consulting contract with TBWBH, props and measures.
Second.
Okay, student board?
Aye.
member? Board vote?
Aye. I want to thank the
Fantastic.
teachers who came tonight. We appreciate, we'll need you down the road, but like I said, I have no idea. Like, I'm hoping Europe is resolved by the time we're polling and if people are feeling good about opening up, but anything could happen, but it is important we take this first step and do everything we can to see if we can at all possibly make this happen for you.
And if we
Agree
move,
100%.
if we move forward, we're really going to need you. We're not kidding. So thank you.
We'll need students, we'll need staff.
Did we vote on 1 through 15?
Yes.
We did.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Moving right along to consent B.
I'll move to approve consent B.
I'll second.
Okay, this is board vote only. Board vote?
Aye.
Aye. Wonderful, thank you. And now to our action items. Dr. Stepp?
First up, second interim budget, Ms. Kimmel.
Madam President, members of the board, tonight, Ms. Torres is going to share with us our budget update for second interim. And I believe that the full package was provided in your packet. So we will go over this, and please stop us if you have any questions. But Jim's queuing it up. Oh, and running the show. Okay.
Jim's going to run the show on this one.
Okay. Take it away, Christy.
Okay, so looking at our second interim, we're going to talk about the state of the economy, as well as our 21-22 current budget review, future budget efficiencies, as well as the timeline. Looking at the states of the budget. Yep. California's economy continues to grow. At first interim, they were estimating a $31 billion surplus. It's now increased to almost $46 billion. The Legislative Analyst Office is actually projecting an even higher revenue projection with tax income higher than what the governor is estimating. But they always are cautioning that April is a really important tax collection month with our April 15th tax filing deadline. The LAO is projecting a different and higher COLA than what the governor included in his January proposal. The governor is proposing a 5.3% cost of living increase next year. The LAO is actually over 6%. And this cost of living increase, it's important to note, is reflective of the spike in inflation. We're seeing the cost of our everyday goods and services much higher than they have been. There's continued labor constraints and supply chain challenges that continue to persist. There's no dispute that there's going to be a surplus in state revenue, and there's many options that the lawmakers are currently discussing as to what to do with this revenue. Some of the items that have been proposed relate to equalizing LCFF funding, making special education reform, making additional payments to the pension, as well as things outside of education related to climate resiliency and the droughts and fires. The governor in his January proposal included things related to special education, as well as the rainy day fund. There's still discussions with lawmakers as far as what to do with this money. We're hopeful that there may be some changes to LCFF base funding rather than increases to the after-school enrichment program. When we look at our 21-22 budget, we are incorporating our current staffing. We're looking at our year-to-date actuals, as well as changes to grants that we have received. Overall, the second interim reflects an increase of $5.6 million of revenue, driven by the timing of our grant revenues, and expenditures decreasing by $0.7 million for an overall increase in general fund balance of $6.3 million, while still showing deficit spending of $1 million. It's important to note that of that $6.3 million, 4.1 relates to restricted programs and 2.2 is for unrestricted programs. The reduction in our expenditures is driven by continued classified vacancies. So here you can see we have $1.5 million of savings from our vacancies. We have a number of hard-to-fill positions in special education, maintenance and operations, as well as our clerical and site support positions. We are optimistic that we will fill a majority of these positions in the spring, but we will see what happens with that. Our revenues are increasing $5.6 million. Here is a breakdown of one-time programs as well as ongoing funds. Our COVID grant that we've previously received, we've received adjustments to those grants of $2.1 million. We did receive the Educator Effectiveness Grant, the full award of $2.2 million, though we have until June of 2026 to fully spend it. Ongoing increases, the governor has initiated the Expanded Learning Opportunity Program, which is for our TK through 6th grade, having the before and after school enrichment and summer enrichment programs provided $0.5 million. We received our Career Technical Education Grant Award for $0.4 million and a Special Education Early Intervention Grant that helps offset our preschool program of $0.3 million, as well as increased lottery revenues.
So I think this is the piece that's kind of confusing because a lot of the increase in the current fiscal year is really timing issues and a lot of restricted grants. So I'll let Christine explain that a little bit more.
Yes, so we've had our strategic plan, and here we can see that there's some timing. We have a few years to spend the monies that we've received. We had planned for some technology upgrades to happen next year. The timing of that has moved forward into the current year. So we have $1.1 million moving into the current year, but we also had $1 million of increased grant awards. Half of that is actually helping our general fund. We identified some expenditures that we could charge to our COVID testing grant. And then the other $500,000 is grant awards that were increased by the state for our expanded learning opportunity. So here is a representation of our categorical programs. There's over 35 programs listed here. Many of them are one-time, and they have various deadlines as to when we have to spend that money. Some of them are ongoing or annual awards, and each have various allowable expenditures that we're having to keep track of, and that continues to grow. There's pending and new things coming out, it seems like, each month.
So we put this slide in for a visual, I don't know, lack of a better word, shock, because Dr. Gleason and Ms. Torres are just swimming in trying to keep track of all of these different programs. And if we were to look at this 4 years ago, there would have been, 12 things on this list. So there's a lot of balls in the air to keep track of, and it's great to have some funding, but it all comes with restrictions.
It's like 24 things versus 11. I mean, yeah.
But that is amazing. Kudos to the teams of Christine Torres and Dr. Ryan Gleason there for.
A lot of work to keep track of.
Yeah.
Yes, but.
But it's funding well
But
needed.
it will
so.
take however we can get funding.
Right, right.
Whatever. form
And
it-
thank you for keeping track of it all.
So here's a visual representation of those categoricals. It makes up a $34 million bucket that is made up of one-time monies and then the ongoing monies. And you can see they each help offset core programs or come along with new programs. So a majority of our $29 million of one-time money is funding $25 million of new programs, all in our strategic plan. We're also using it to, wherever we can, find ways to offset our core program. On the ongoing funding side, the $5 million, almost all of it, $4.5 million, is helping to offset core programs. When we're looking at our multi-year projection, there's many factors that we put into that calculation. We've included the Community Supportive Measure E, and it's $2.3 million of annual funding for the next 7 years. We also include the governor's proposed LCFF COLA for our projection. We're managing our declining enrollment projections, as well as the financial impacts of COVID, and we're using the statutory rate increases for PERS and STIRS in those cost projections. So here is our graph, which shows the annual cost the district is contributing to our employee pension plans based on those required rates. You can see, we started at $5.3 million back at the start of this pension reform. We're now currently projecting just over $14 million this year and getting near the top of that rate increase. The height of it will happen in the 22-23 year. We've also included, while the costs of the pensions are going up, the revenue is largely generated based on the number of kids we have and the days that they come to school, but our enrollment is continuing to decline. So we can see over the last 5 years, the enrollment has declined 13%, and unfortunately that projection is continued to decline in all of the out years, though not just in our district, but in California as a whole. Here's some more projection, multi-year projection factors. The important thing to note on our revenue is that for next year, the funded ADA is decreasing almost 1,000 students. And while we are getting that cost of living increase and the amount we get per student is going up, because we have less students, we're actually seeing a decrease in our LCFF funding of $3.8 million. And we have also referenced our one-time grant funds that are included in our multi-year projection. Looking at our expense factors, we've included the step-in column for certificated and classified staff. We don't include any salary schedule adjustments beyond the current years. And you can see the STRS and PERS, both the dollars and the percents of salary that the district contributes. The important thing to note here is that the cost of the pensions is increasing $3 million next year with the rates going up.
Okay, so I know this is everybody's favorite slide, so the one with all the numbers on the page, but we highlighted the important ones to look at. On the top, you can see that our base funding from the state of California, based on our number of students attending school each day, this number is slated to go down significantly next year, even with a generous cost of living from the state. That is because the way the current law reads, the funding will be based on the students that are attending school in this current school year. So that's about an 8.5% reduction from the last time the formula was calculated. So that is going to be a big hit for us if that law stays in effect and everything plays out as normal in this presentation, and this is what our actual interim budget is presented on. On line 14, we will need to make future budget cuts, $1 million next year, and then an additional $5 million to equal the cumulative $6 million, as you see on the screen here, the year after, and another $5 million the year after that. So that is, a pretty steep decline for us. You can see in yellow, the operating deficit is going to be hovering right under, $20 million at that point. If you can remember that PERS and STRS slide showing that we have, an increase of $14 million to our pensions over the last, few years since reform has hit us. And so that, with the declining enrollment, has developed into a negative budget. As comparison, we present also for your information, I guess, the next slide, which shows that the current proposal, the budget that the governor laid out in January, has a 3-year averaging for the LCFF calculation, with the variable of the attendance being on 3 years as opposed to just looking back 1 year. You can see that makes a significant change in our financial picture. It gives us a 3-year, cushion to get down to the level that we would be, funded on based on our student attendance. So you can see that we would actually reflect a couple $1 million increase in our budget next year as opposed to going down. And that would significantly change the level of cuts that the district will need to make and improve the amount of funds available for our program. So just showing, I know some districts in other counties are building this 3-year averaging into their interim budget. So it's a very distinctive difference that our county is expecting us to use the current state law with looking back only the 1 year.
So the county does not want us to use a 3-year model, but Ms. Kimmel did assist in the drafting of a letter of advocacy to the appropriate assembly members that I signed and got off today.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Stepp. So with these, this projections being laid out, we do have our next agenda item is a request for a resolution showing the board's commitment to make whatever cuts and efficiencies are required, but we've left it very generic and just going with a general commitment from the board until we know better what the governor and the legislature vote on in June and what the rules will be, so that we don't overcommit to cuts.
Dr. Videra, oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Yes?
Were you wrapping up? I didn't mean to.
I think Christine's just got one wrap-up slide, and then you are free to ask questions or.
Yes, so tonight we're asking for positive approval of our second interim budget, which certifies that the district will be able to meet its obligations for the current year and the 2 subsequent years based on our projections and budget efficiencies. And then you can see the timeline over the next few months where we'll have various finance meetings, or the governor will have his budget revision on May 14th, and we'll get more insight on what the state is planning to do with its state budget. And on June 14th, we'll have the public hearing for next year's budget.
So now we're open for questions.
I was going to make a motion to approve, but I don't know if there are questions.
Thank you for the update.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I always love how thorough it
Very-
is. Thank you very much. I'll make a motion to approve the interim budget.
I'll second.
And, okay, student board member vote?
Aye.
Wonderful, thank you. Board vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Dr. Videra, could I ask, make a suggestion? We have some students and staff and a member of the public here for information items. Could we possibly go out of order and bring up the information items first so they don't have to wait through the remaining items and let them address their
Sure.
items?
Let's just do the approval of the resolution 1721, because that's part of, correct?
That would be great if we
Right?
could do that.
Right?
Yes, this is sort of in conjunction with the interim report. It's a requirement from the County of Los Angeles. As noted, it's a commitment we have shown in the past that the board continually makes budget efficiencies and enacts them as needed, and we're just asking the board to continue to keep that resolution to keep fiscal stabilization within our district.
And
And
this is something we do every year.
yes.
Motion to approve Resolution 17-21.
I'll second.
Thank you. Student board member vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Board vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
With your permission, is it okay to move to update on Las Virgenes Early College Academy information item first, and then we'll move to report on Measure E Committee? Dr. Stepp, is that the order you'd recommend? Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Madam President, members of the board. Very excited to share some data and some of our students and their stories relative to the success of our Early College Academy. Dr. Gleason.
Madam President, members of the board, while our team from the high schools come on up, we'll just share some slides that we've shared in multiple committees. Really excited. So it seems like just yesterday that the Early College Academy started, and believe it or not, this is the 4th year. So the first round of graduates are going across the stage wearing special sashes for commemorating the hard work that they did this year. For those watching at home, I know the board's very aware of this and involved in it. The credit serves a dual purpose. So in the state of California, community college class is free for all high school students. And the law allows for you to dual transcript, so you get both high school and college credit through those classes. And with the cost of higher ed, that's a real deal for our kids. In California as well, there is the Transfer Admission Guarantee Program, where if a student completes the basic requirements at a California community college, they are guaranteed a seat in a University of California. And so we have been shouting that for the last 4 years, making sure families are aware of that incredible deal, as well as helping get students a head start in our program. As we move beyond the next slide, Jim, one more, please. So our students, this program starts in 6th grade. So in the second year, we built it down to 6th grade. All students take this as part of the wheel rotation. And in 7th and 8th, there is differential enrollment based on the school. One thing we're noticing at Lindero, you'll see the numbers are higher than at Lindero, where you'll have the dual immersion program also there. So we're working to navigate multiple programs on the same campus. When you go to the high schools, which is the next slide, this is the enrollment in the classes. So these are all the college classes that students in the Early College Academy had access to this fall and their enrollment. So you can see it's a diverse offering. Students pick up to 2 per semester, and if they take 8 courses over the course of their high school career and pass them, in addition to participating in the seminars, they will graduate as Early College Academy students. This is a shift. One shift we made several years in. If you remember when we started the program, it was very much lockstep in terms of the sequence of courses you took in freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year. And we decided to open that up to create greater schedule flexibility and choice for our students, and it really helped boost enrollment. If you go to the next slide, here's the spring enrollment in the classes that are available. Again, you'll see the offering is well subscribed. And again, all these kids, think about it, they are getting not only high school but college credit that they can carry with them when they leave Las Virgenes. Moving on to the next slide, as we've evolved the program, we've worked very closely with our Pathways Committee, with Curriculum Council, on continuing to refine the model. Whenever you have a new program, there's always things you learn. And we now have a relationship with both Moorpark and Pierce. And want to give a special shout out to not only our site administration, but Ms. Daniela Munther and Ms. Kristen Lapiner, who have been really the quarterback of the program this year in terms of helping connect to the students and the community college instructors and the differential policies. Next year, their role will expand to have even broader seminars for students who are in the Early College Academy, not only to attend these classes, but now that the world gets back to normal, to resume all the great field trips to USC, UCLA, and other universities that make this program so unique. As we go to the next slide, if anyone's watching at home, and we'll skip that one for now, Jim, it's in the slides, but if anyone's watching at home wants to be is interested in learning more, go to earlycollegeacademylv.org. Those are our students in front of, I believe that's the UCLA campus right there. And most importantly, we have our administration and a few of our students here tonight, which I'd like to invite them up to the podium to share their story and their experience in the program. So as the students come up, just invite you to share your name and what school, and share with us what your experience has been like in the Early College Academy.
Hi, I'm Jordan Berenbaum. I'm currently a junior at Agora High School, and I've been a part of the ECA program since sophomore year. Some benefits of the program is it prepares you for what college classes may look like in your future. So I kind of already know the workload I'm getting, how hard tests will be, quizzes, and managing my time so I have time to participate in my school life, sports, and college class. I get the opportunity to communicate with my college professor and create a bond. Even though it is online, I'm learning how to do that, which will prepare me for if I'm taking online classes at college. You also get credit, not only high school credit, but college credit. So I'm currently getting college credit as well as high school credit while being enrolled in one class, which is really nice. I also have the opportunity to take classes my high school doesn't offer. Like this year, I've been able to take Deaf Culture and ASL, which I've always wanted to learn, but my high school doesn't offer. I've also been able to take international communications and deaf culture, so I'm learning about cultures other than my own and being able to know how to respect their culture and be a part of it while also like respecting their beliefs and what they view. I also get to be around other students like me who want to take college classes, and that bond is also really nice because you are surrounded by girls and guys who will also have the same values and know how important and precious this opportunity is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan.
Dr. Gleason, can I ask you a quick question? So they're online. In the fall, will they be back in person?
Yeah, the goal is to return back in person at the community college faculty associations, working closely with the administration on making sure those conditions are in place. We do have on-campus classes right now as well.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Kylie Barnage. I am a part of Calabasas, but I am also a part of the Elvis online school program. So I've been a part of ECA since I was in 8th grade, so I've been in the program for almost 3 years. I have a little story that kind of goes with the benefits.
We love a story. Seriously, yeah.
Okay, good. So ever since I was like a little girl, I struggle and still do struggle with anxiety. I deal with constant panic and overthinking. So until I was given an opportunity, I was offered a spot in a program to get ahead. I saw there are classes offered such as counseling, psychology, where you learn about yourself, how to organize, how to be independent, and not how to solve for X. Okay, maybe this could be something worthwhile. I can always drop out if the program isn't for me. Instead of dropping out, which is what I thought was going to happen, I kept on going. Even through the pandemic, I was taking these classes online. This taught me that I work best independently without distractions from other students. Now I know in the future, when I get ready for college, I'm better off in smaller classes, smaller school. My weight was off my shoulders. Going back in person to school, all I wanted to do was switch back online. I thought this wasn't a possibility and I was stuck again. I fell back into all my old habits. I went to Mrs. Goldstein for help and I learned I can switch into Elvis, an online school program, and I could still be a part of Calabasas High School to continue to do the program. Second semester, I switched into Elvis finally.
Ben!
And I wouldn't have been able to do this without the ECA program showing me that I am more than capable. I would have never found the solutions to my problem. ECA helped me with my anxiety because I got to choose my classes and I'm not stuck in classes that I'm not going to succeed in. It helped me find my passion, shining hope in my eyes. In some classes, I write a lot, and I learned that I am passionate for writing. I just finished writing my own book. The Early College Academy program will be a program I will forever recommend to every student. Thank you.
That was fantastic.
Wow, thank you for sharing your story for both of our students. So impressed. Oh, my goodness. And thank you for coming here and speaking. And another student, oh, goody.
One more.
Goody.
Hi, I'm Chloe Barnage, and I'm a Calabasas high school student, a senior.
Are
and
you guys related?
Yeah, she's my sister.
I was gonna say, yes.
I've been a part of ECA since the very first year, so it's my 4th year. And honestly, my experience in high school, I feel like it's really unique because of this program. And like, I wouldn't succeed the way I did without it. So first off, a little history of my learning history. In 3rd grade, I was tested for a reading disability, and in elementary and middle school, I was in special ed. And so all that time, I was really trying to get out of it. And after, in my second semester, of 8th grade, I finally got out of special ed, and that's when Mrs. White, my counselor at the time, she recommended me for Early College Academy. And once I really got to know what the program entailed, I really wanted to be a part of it. So this program really helped me learn techniques and different college techniques to succeed in both my high school and college classes. And because of that, at the age of 14, I started my college education. And even though we were the guinea pigs, my class, so we did have a lot of ups and downs, and a lot of things were promised that we didn't really get, but that's okay because we expanded, and now this is open to everybody, and I think that's amazing. Also, I really got to learn what I like to do, and that the college classes that they gave me, I took a business class, 2 business classes my first year. I got to see that that's what I want to major in, so that was really amazing. And that different subjects provided at the school is really nice because we don't really have psychology and child development and ASL through Calabasas, so this really helped. And due to the advantages, like I said, I got a really nice, unique high school experience, and I get to graduate this year with 44 units from both York Park and College. Thank you.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm really happy that this program was started when I came to high school because I don't think I was there. I don't think I would be able to succeed and branch out as much as I did without it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go business majors.
Thank you very much. I will tell you, as a board member, this program is probably
One of my favorites.
the thing I'm most proud of that we have done. And I remember the night we had the parent information meeting, Dr. Gleason in this room, and talking about it, and we've had to tweak it and change it, and we thank you for being the guinea pigs. But when I visited the class, I honestly, so proud and so impressed with you all, and thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. I know you're busy and you have homework and you have a lot of stuff to do. So.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you to our administrators for supporting our students. You were so articulate. And, I have chills and tears. This is something For me personally, as a board member and as a mom, I wanted for years, my own children took community college courses during high school, but at the community colleges. And to have this, you have no idea when you go on to college, the boost that you get, coming, like you said. I just thank you for coming tonight and speaking. You're courageous and smart young women. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gleason.
That was amazing.
Tough act to follow, Ms. Kimmel. Budget presentation on Measure E after.
I'm going to get chills and tears in this one,
Yes.
but okay, sure.
We're going to grab the tissue box and keep it close by.
Different reason, yes.
Ms. Kimmel, Measure E update?
Sure. Sorry, Jay. Sorry, Jay. You can come up right after those amazing young ladies. But tonight we are pleased to bring you our Measure E Oversight Committee report. Mr. Jay Espan has been part of our Measure E Oversight Committee, I believe, for about 6 years now.
Yeah, then I was also part of
Part of G, right?
Yeah, and Measure G before that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right,
I'm just
that's right.
a committee
So-
guy.
We like that. We appreciate
Hey,
the
and
time.
Jay, what you do for us brings in $2.3 million, your
You're right.
oversight, so that we can give these
Yeah,
wonderful
yeah,
programs
and-
to our
And
students.
I went to USC, and so I don't know if there are any Trojans. I see that Bruin thing up there. It gives me a little chill. So. But anyway, fight on. So, yeah, it's been a pleasure. First time I've seen Karen for 2 years.
In
All the
person.
meetings have been virtual. I don't need to wear a mask, right?
No.
I'm good. Okay. So anyway, I'm pleased to be here to talk about Measure E. This is the Oversight Committee report. And as you know, and I heard the presentation about future bond offerings, I'm interested to help if you need any help in the future.
Write that down.
Since I have experience with this. But anyway, Measure E is an annual $98 per parcel property tax levied by LA County, and it has been in existence since 2004. The measure is deemed necessary by the voters in our district because of the inadequate funding, and it has been just fantastic. It has prevented cuts in programs that are at the core of the quality of the education in this district. It's prevented layoffs of teachers and staff. And as you guys know, back in November of 2015, Measure E was approved for a third time for an additional 12 years, and it had 79% of the vote. So this is, at the time, everybody was excited, and we're happy to be on this committee. So the Measure E requires an independent citizen oversight committee to monitor the district's adherence to the provisions in the measure, and we're supposed to report annually to the board. Included with this report are the minutes from the various committee meetings that we held in 2020 and 2021. Tonight, I'm proud to report, as a committee member, that the Measure E, all the dollars that were received were spent in compliance with the measure. As you said, the measure has generated parcel tax revenue of $2,286,000, which is consistent with prior years. Included in that $2.3 million are direct donations that were received of $33,000. Dr. Stepanowski sends a donation letter that the committee drafts that basically is sent to those families who have permit students who reside outside the district, and those parents therefore do not pay the $98 parcel tax assessment. I'm happy to report that the donations that we received in 2021 were actually higher than the prior year. So that's that's pretty cool, I think, knowing what we experienced. The revenue received under this measure supports all grade levels. Here's a few examples. There's investment at the elementary, middle, and high school levels toward class size reduction. There's counseling services district-wide. There's district-wide library services. There's a 4 to 5 science program, middle school art, music, and drama programs, and high school athletics and activities. Now, on the expenditure side, for the 2020-21 year, $2,321,000 was incurred. So that resulted in us using about $35,000 of the reserve balance that we had created through the measure. As of June 30th, 2021, the current reserve balance is about $35,000. which reflects about 1.5% of the parcel tax budget. The committee has sort of adjusted the budget to maintain about a 1.5 reserve, so we can spend as much money as we can on the expenditures that are needed. The Las Virgenes Unified School District is known for providing high-quality education. We just saw it with that great presentation and good academic programs. Unfortunately, the funding for the district is lower than what most other districts get. I went to LA Unified, I know they get everything. But anyway, this parcel tax really does play a critical role in bridging the gap, and is key, I think, to the funding success for the district. So the report that we have provided you this evening, I believe, indicates the substantial benefit that Measure E is giving the schools and the students. And I just want to know if you have any questions, and happy to report to the committee.
Thank you for, we always say this when we get this report, but what you do is so important. So we're talking about a potential bond measure. It allows us to go out and say, we know that we spend the money on what we pledge we're going to spend it on. We make good on our promises, and that this money goes to our kids.
Is proof of that.
Yeah.
And you provide independent oversight of this.
That's so crucial
I
to this.
am a member of the community. I don't have any children that have been in this district. My background is I'm a CPA, so I remember when I interviewed a few years ago to help. I just want to help.
Thank
And
you. We
it's
truly appreciate
it's
it.
exciting I live in Westlake, and it's exciting to give back to the community.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very important.
Thanks for all your hard work.
Yes.
I have a feeling we'll be calling you soon.
Thank you, Jay.
Right? Okay. So we are.
Should we turn back to the
Back
action?
to action
Okay,
item
we
number
turn
3.
Back to, okay. The approval of LBUSD A through G completion grant plan.
Madam President, members of the board, this was, I think, an information item last board meeting, and of course, I think a day after the board meeting, the state provided, I think, 3 times the additional funding for it. So here we are. It's a little bit of fire-ready aim from the state's perspective, and we are being nimble and taking advantage of every dollar we can to benefit our students and their success and our staff. Dr. Gleason.
Madam President, members of the board, the statute requires that the board take action on this plan by the end of March. So this being our last item, went to info last meeting, and as Dr. Stepp said, our allocation increased threefold. In Las Virgenes, we have a really collaborative process of bringing any of these grant funds to committee, where we can have multiple board members provide direction as to how to best use these funds. Given that the allocation tripled since the last meeting, and we have not had a chance to have committee, recommendation for the board tonight is to share that, in general, we want to spend these funds to support our targeted intervention efforts at our high school, especially as we have bell schedule conversations. In terms of the actual specifics of that, would like to have the time to bring that to Pathways and Finance to make sure we do a thorough vetting of the plan. So in general, from an auditing standpoint, CDE needs to see that we talked about this item in open session prior to approval. In terms of the details, those can be hashed out in committee, and we can still be in accordance with the statute. There's no template for this grant, as Ms. Kimmel put up and Ms. Torres put up the 38 categoricals that were on that one slide. They all have their own grant plan, and I think CDE is pumping out grants faster than they have templates, and that's where we are.
So,
Would you like
motion?
a motion?
I would like a motion.
I move to approve the A through G completion grant plan.
I'll second.
Thank you. Student board member?
Aye.
Thank you. Board vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Item number 4, public hearing. LBUSD and the Lbca Association's joint initial reopeners for the contract agreement.
Madam President, members of the board, the next several items are relative to reopeners. This is a standard process in the negotiations. These are joint reopeners with LVEA and CA. Dr. Cypress.
Madam President, members of the board, as part of our collective bargaining process, we encourage an inclusive approach that invites public comment to the contract proposals between the association and the district. This is an initial step we take in the negotiations process. This year, we've got 4 dates already scheduled with Lbca, beginning March 31st. Before we get to that, would love to open the public hearing. Also should say on the agenda item, the initial proposals are presented in a joint format. This year for the Lbca contract, it is an entirely open contract that expires on June 30th. So all items are open for review.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second.
Thank you. Board vote only?
Aye.
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 I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Thank you. Board vote only?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Next item, Dr. Stepp, the presentation of the Lbca.
Madam President, members of the board, submitting for your review the aforementioned joint reopeners as explained during the public hearing.
I'll move to approve the joint reopeners with LVEA.
I'll second it.
And board vote only?
Aye.
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 Seeing nobody here, I'll move to close the public hearing.
Wait.
No, that was,
No,
this
that
was,
was- we-
this was number
I'm
5.
sorry, I'm on number 6. I was looking at number 6. Apologies.
I know. Okay. So board vote only, right? We
Right.
did that
Ma'am, we're
one?
good.
And we
Aye.
passed.
Okay.
My-
Voted.
Sorry.
All right.
Long meeting. Okay, number 6. This is the Lbca, LBUST contract agreement reopener.
I move to open the public hearing
I'll
for
second it.
LVUSD LBCA.
So just to make sure we're clear, for the record, because the last one was Lvea that we voted on.
Right. Yes,
Because it
right.
was said LVCA. Right? Okay.
No, I
That-
said LVA, and then this is LVCA.
Okay.
And
I believe I did misspeak.
no, you're fine. And
We
so we
fixed
have
it.
we have a motion from
I
Ms. Mingus
I
and a
moved and Ms. Cupville seconded.
Yes.
Open the
Perfect.
public hearing.
Board vote only?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Wonderful. Thank
Now
you.
I'll close
Tick
it.
tock, tick ding.
Seeing nobody here now, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for LVCA.
And I'll s-
Second.
Thank you. Board vote only?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great.
And I'll make a motion to approve presentation of joint initial reopeners for the classified contract for LVCA.
I'll second.
Thank you. Board vote only?
Aye.
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 Okay. Thank you. And I believe we are finished with all the business. And thank you, everyone, for your time and all your hard work. And we can be adjourned.